During COVID was when I shared my story a lot
Mm.
because people needed something to lean on.
That even when I was recording it, there were some moments where I had to pause, cry a few tears of
Uh,
relating to something that you said or kind of wisdom that you got from an experience that I.
I want you to know that you are special, you are loved, and you can be that inspiration that the world needs. Don't hide your story. If you're
Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of our interview with Tomi Waziri. Part 1 is up on our channel if you missed it. Please enjoy.
they pierced, my everywhere on my face, like with the glass and everything, bang, and damaged my eyeballs, and the cornea, everything was damaged. And
Wow.
long story short, we got to the hospital, and the next day, that was where I found out that my optic nerves were damaged, and I probably won't be able to see again for the rest of my life. Yeah.
That's so it's not only that you became blind, but you also suffered a crime, like a traumatic crime at the same time.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah.
There were, I've heard stories about that location even before then.
Uh-huh.
It didn't occur to me. I just wanted to do my job, but
Mm.
that particular bridge back then in the news, I've heard a lot of stuff go on like that. People died, lost their life.
It's a really interesting story because when we talk about disability and providing accessibility, the most of the time the assumption is that if a person has a disability, it's something that they may be born with. But there's a lot of people, just like your situation, where
Mm,
it happens to them later in life when they're an adult. I know statistically that the chances of getting a disability increase with age.
mm,
Like it can happen to anyone, right? Ami, you wrote an autobiography in 2021. So you became blind in 2019, and then you
yeah,
had an autobiography written about your story, which right here audio I recorded and provided on our channel. And the
yeah.
audience can check that out in the description. And also, I will be linking your Amazon ebook of your autobiography if anybody wants to check it out, buy a copy. It's really good. I recommend people do that. But can
Thank you so
you,
much.
of course. But can you tell us a bit about what motivated you to write and publish your story in that way?
During COVID was when I shared my story a lot
Mm.
because people needed something to lean on.
Mhm.
They needed that spark. That's real human story
Mhm.
to keep them going. And I got a lot of virtual interviews more than physical interviews,
Mhm.
also virtual events, public speaking events, storytelling events. There was an app called Clubhouse. So it was an audio app, audio based social platform. So I shared my story around the world.
Mhm.
I got a lot of feedbacks. People telling me, Tomi, your story is so inspiring. You need to share it. You need to write a book. you know, Anybody that came across my story always said something positive.
Mhm.
Always talked about how my story, the journey of turning my mess to a message of hope,
Mhm.
how it touched them in somewhat way, And I said, okay, maybe I should consider, you know, turning it to a book. And as and this was when I met a lot of people, in the publishing industry. And so the book was actually sponsored by someone.
Mhm.
So I didn't spend a dime writing that book. I recorded it on my phone and it was transcribed.
Ah,
So even the man that helped didn't want any edit. If you notice, it didn't have any professional edit.
right.
There was some English that were not. So he said he would rather that it was like a mentor to me, So he
Mhm.
said he would rather I leave it that way. So people can 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 read it like they're listening to the person who is sharing the story.
Mhm.
So And that was what that was how it all started. The man was well invested in my story, and he helped. And helped publish the book. Had a couple of copies. No, I had a lot of copies. Like hardware copies, and we published it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a lot of people love the story. They're able to connect with something real. It's not fictional. you
Absolutely.
know in fact, I always say probably someday my story will be on Netflix.
Oh, we can only hope.
Yeah.
One day, I have to admit that even when I was recording it, there were some moments where I had to pause, cry a few tears of
Oh,
relating to something that you said or kind of wisdom that you got from an experience that I related to. So I
mm,
have to admit that I'm definitely one of those people that it touched, and it's a really good story, and I recommend anybody who wants to hear about it, just go on Amazon, and it's like $5. So
yeah.
I think
And the full recording is on right here on this.
it is. So if you want to listen to me reading it, you can. Okay, so that's awesome. Can you tell us a bit about the message behind your book? Like what do you think the audience can benefit from hearing your story in that raw detail that you said that's unedited?
Hmm. um Connecting with a real person.
Mm,
Like, another thing people always say is just like what you said, some things resonate with you.
mhm,
It may not be the same story, but I know that my story has a lot of nuggets that you can take that that corresponds with the situation people might be going through at some point in their lives.
right.
They may not be going through something, but maybe something they've been through before, and they are still like struggling with it. They connect with it. It's real. There's this. I poured out my heart into it. There's some points where I was recording and I was crying.
Mm.
So it's real, and I think that's what people connect with. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It totally answers it. I think,
Yeah.
you talked about community in the beginning of this interview about your values, and it
Yeah.
sounds like, that sense of community, that social connectedness. If
Mhm.
for you, like you can do it even digitally, you can do it with
Yeah.
strangers who just hear your story, and for you, that still adds to the sense of community and society and relating to each
Yeah.
other. So,
And I add to what you said.
mhm.
If you go through my Instagram, that's the community I've built.
Ah.
I just want people to see me. I don't want to speak too much. I'll be a motivational speaker. No, I want people to be able to connect with me and be inspired.
Right.
And I get that a lot in the comments on Instagram. So that alone just makes me feel this is what I've always wanted
Mhm.
ever since when I was young.
Mm.
Promoting those values. I mean, even when people see the way I treat my wife, I treat her in such a positive way. That is going to help other men out there
Mm.
respect wives, respect their girlfriends.
Mm.
I love to promote love,
Right.
positive relationships. All those things are what I'm doing, in my channel. I said mom and dad had, down, ups and downs.
Mm.
I learned my lesson.
Mm.
To be that person who will be when it comes to a relationship, and be that example in the society, even in Winnipeg here,
Right.
or wherever I find myself, wherever I am,
Yeah.
even though I move to another city, I want to be that message, that person who turned their mess to a
Mm.
mess.
Mm. That's amazing. Our mission, right here, Audio's mission, is to provide accessibility to people who want to think, learn, and absorb information. So we believe that reading is a fundamental human right. But as you know, there are still many barriers for people in accessing that valuable information, like your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also academic stuff. Like you said, Roots was used for people's projects. This is all like intellectual value, right? So we wanted to ask you, what are your tools that are available, that were like available to you before Right Here Audio was offered as another option? Like what kind of stuff do you use? What helps you? Stuff like that. Yeah.
So I use an iPhone.
Mhm.
When I became blind, I started with a talk back. That's for the Android, and The voice was really computerized and it was really crappy. I,
Mm.
I couldn't relate with it. I was switching towards something more real,
Okay.
and iPhone not perfect, doesn't sound like human, you know, a bit sound like human voices a bit.
Mhm.
um I switched towards iPhone. I mean, I switched to using an iPhone and learned how to use my voiceover. The
Mm.
voiceover is an accessibility feature. I mean, feature that comes with the Apple devices, the iPhone, iPads, even the MacBook. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I love the voice. There's this voice called, is it Karen? Is it Karen or Kate? I can't remember. That's the voice I use. And yeah, I could relate to it a little.
Yeah.
It didn't really tickle my fancy
Mm.
like a real human voice.
Um,
So even when I was reading the roots, there were a lot of computerized parts of the story,
mm.
and I stopped at the first chapter
Right.
when I was reading it with my voiceover. So I said, no, no, I can't do this anymore. It's
Mhm.
real. And Right Ear Audio came along, and voila, we have roots on Right Here Audio Library.
Yeah. And I think that's another point that we wanted to bring up is that, not everybody can afford an audiobook, right? Like there may be recordings of these books, but the financial barrier of people
Yeah.
accessing is still like, even okay, it exists, but now I don't have the money to buy it. And if
Mhm.
reading is a human right, then that shouldn't be something that stops you from learning,
Okay.
right? So I'm really glad that we were able to offer that as another option for you.
Yeah. And I must say this about Right Here,
Yeah.
and I say this in Nigeria we say with my full chest, that you guys are awesome.
Uh,
Uh, doing this for pro bono, or which English would I use now?
yeah.
And doing this to help persons with low vision, ADHD. I think that's quite laudable. You're actually promoting accessibility. That's what you're doing. In
Yeah.
fact, that makes you Right Ear Audio a, an accessibility advocate, an inclusion advocate, because you're accessing, you're giving access to people with special needs, and
Right.
you know this is your time. I mean, time is money in Canada.
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know I wonder how you guys do this, and you do this with passion. You read these things, you record. I try to evaluate the work that goes into it.
Mhm.
And I must say, I'm so grateful. And I'm saying this on behalf of, people who maybe have not reached out to you. There are people who have been inspired by, the work you do and making these things accessible, and saying this, big thank you on behalf of people like that. So yeah, big thank you.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. Like we love doing it. It's a lot of work. And we do it in our spare time, but at the end of the day, someone needs to do this. And I'm not even saying that, making like this is the only thing that needs to be done. I'm sure there are thousands of other accessibility problems that need to be solved by somebody. And our main mission is to make options of access for people. So even if you preferred to listen to uh, the robotic voice, at least then you can say, I had the option to listen to a human narrated voice. And I
Mhm.
think that is the core message is that, value is not in just, how many sales did we get in our recording or it's how many people can access knowledge and learning, how many people can be given a chance to learn, regardless of if they are blind or they have any kind of other disability or anything. There's always a chance to make another way for someone, right? And I think your story is an example of that. Like you've made a way for yourself and you continue to make ways for yourself. And I have to say with my full chest that you're amazing, like you're incredible and your family's incredible. And so thank you for sharing that. I'm going to continue on with the questions because there's still some more I want to get through and I don't want to miss these. Tommy, you've been an advocate for people with visual disabilities in Nigeria for I think around 5 years now.
Oh
And
yeah.
And now I really look forward to your advocacy work in Canada as well. Can you tell the audience your vision, your personal vision that you have for people with disabilities? What do you think success looks like for people with disabilities or blind people?
Yeah, so like I said, I give you a little snippet of my next plan as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something I want to do individually, as an individual, which is, I realize that many people here don't know blind people use smartphones as well.
Mm.
Surprised, I was like, oh, I saw Canada as, oh, they know everything, and this better country with all the technology and everything.
Mm.
And when I started jumping into Ubers,
Mm.
and the driver is like, what are you doing on your phone? you know, I realized that there are still millions of people
Mm.
who don't know that blind people can use their devices like laptops, their iPads, their devices. There are millions of people in the world that don't know this.
Mm.
Realize that these things are not being pushed.
Mm.
Why it's really alarming to me is that there are a lot of employers
Mm.
that wouldn't employ a blind person because they might just feel, oh, you may not be able to use a laptop. They don't know these things.
Mm-hmm. True.
So doing this world record, it will promote, this. I plan to do it on social media, stream it on Instagram, get all the
Yeah.
views as possible, amass all the, I want to see how viral it can get.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be able to do this until I take my last breath, educate as many people, because it's also going to help a lot of blind people who feel left alone and they don't know this.
Yeah.
There's some blind people who are not coming out of their shells
Mm-hmm.
because they feel, oh, nobody's going to chat. I can't chat, I can't access. So they're just there indoor. And their loved ones are not even doing that research.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't feel it's not possible. No, blind people can't do this. No, they don't even know these things.
Right.
So a family or a loved one can come across these videos or come across this content and they'll be like, oh, so blind people could do this. Oh, Jason could chat. Jason could be on Facebook. We can chat him up. It's gonna help families.
Mm-hmm.
One of my worst fear and one of the things that made me depressed
Mm-hmm.
when I became blind was, how do I chat with my loved ones?
Yeah.
So that alone is a big deal.
Yeah.
So doing that, I will be proud.
Mm-hmm.
Champion that cause.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that answers the question, but for the second part of your question, can you remind me?
Yeah, sure. What do you think success looks like for persons with disabilities or blind people, whoever you're advocating for?
Success to me for persons with disabilities
Mm-hmm.
in general is being able to provide for my family
Mm-hmm.
or provide for themselves, not really relying on the government.
Mm-hmm.
The disability benefits, and yes, to be frank, I need that starting here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a newcomer in Canada, and I need all this support I can get. But in future, I don't plan to rely totally on the Canadian government. When it comes to my needs, I want a situation whereby through my experience and my life journeys,
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to become a successful content creator, a customer care rep, work, and also inspire other blind people that they don't have to rely on. And some of these things are not even, it's not. I read a lot about there's this organization I'm following. It's called Disability Without Poverty.
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot about the work they do, and they're trying to push for more disability benefits. It's not enough. So I'm like, oh, blind people can still do stuff. You can work. You can, it depends on the disability. I'm not gonna segment any. I'm not gonna be that one to
Mm-hmm.
judge any person with disability. I'm just saying there are some kind of disabilities whereby you can still work. For
Mm-hmm.
myself. There are a lot of blind people that can work, that are doing a lot of amazing stuff. So there are people who have disabilities that they can't work and they need all the support they can get from the government. So what I'm saying is that me personally, I just want to be that blind person or that person with disability that will encourage people who know that they can work and realize that, oh, they can achieve stuff even with their disability. They can, do amazing stuff. And I always say this, Nora, that I want people to see blind people doing great things and see them instead be that source of inspiration to them. So that's my goal. That's yeah.
That's amazing. It sounds like success to you is being autonomous, building yourself up and building up others, and really just promoting support by you supporting others and others supporting you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Like I always say, let's be human together.
Yeah. I love that. I love that saying. I like that you put that in all of your Instagram descriptions.
Oh yeah.
Um, Thank you so much for your time today, Tomi. It's honestly been an honor knowing you and providing another accessible option for you in your journey. But I just wanted to ask you, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to share with the audience that maybe you didn't get a chance to communicate earlier? Anything you want to say?
I don't know who might be watching this, who may eventually come across this video, and you're probably a person with disability, or you're living with a person with disability, you have a loved one who has a disability. I want you to know that you are special, you are loved, and you can be that inspiration that the world needs. Don't hide your story. If you feel that your story can change lives, why not share? I always say this, that when you share, you might just be saving a life. Share your experience, even your life journeys, get you to live like life as a person with disability, whatever it is. Don't keep it to yourself. You are that spark that somebody needs to survive. And I hope this resonates with someone out there. Thank you.
I know it resonates with everyone. Thank you so much, Tomi. Before we end the interview, though, Tomi, can you just tell the audience where they can find and follow you?
Okay, so thank you so much, Right Here Audio, for this once again. On YouTube, you can check me out on YouTube. I have amazing contents there. Just search on YouTube, Tomi of Canada. In Nigeria, we call it Canada,
Yep.
but I'm learning that it's Canada.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, Tomi of Canada. Just search Tomi. That's Tomi of Canada. On my Instagram, just my handle is Tomi_Waziri, same as X. What else? TikTok, Tomi Waziri together. Yeah, you find
Beautiful.
the platforms, and trust me, you will be inspired.
And
Yeah,
I will put all of those in a comment and then the description below so you can check that
thank
out. Again, 1 million thank yous, Tomi, to you. 1 million thank yous to your lovely wife for helping making this happen so that I could sit down and interview you. And I'm sending all the love and support to you and your wonderful family. We might do another interview in the future.
Maybe when I win, when I set the record,
Yes. Oh, that'd be great.
hopefully.
Yeah, whenever, if your social experiments come out, whatever happens, we can figure it out. But I really wanted to tell you and the audience that when a person with disabilities sits down like this and shares their story, they're putting a lot of their life experience in the public eye, and I value that as work, and it should be valued as work. So I'm very proud to say that this interview is a paid interview. Tomi, you're going to be paid for your time today. We're going to be sending you an honorarium because as awesome as this was, and it didn't feel like work at all, you sharing your story and coming out and talking about your experience should be compensated because it's going to educate people, and it's going to provide feedback for us. It's going to provide feedback for anybody that can gain any kind of value from this, right? So I honor that. I recommend to anybody, if you ever want to interview or get any kind of consultant work from a
Mm.
person with disability, pay them, because so
Oh
many
yeah.
people with disabilities don't get paid for their hard work. So I'm proud to do that. And thank you so much, Tomi. I really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
much. Sir. Thank you. I must thank Right Here Audio for this. If you won't, this is the first time this is happening. I've shared my story on a lot of platforms, and I've not been given an honorarium. This
Well,
is the
you should have. It should have happened a long time ago.
Oh yeah, and you see, that's the passion. I do it because I just want to. When I say let's be human together, it's for me, it's kindness, it's humanity, it's promoting love, and which is also one of the contents I want to start. So, but I mean, like you said, and I like what you said, letting other people know that they can do this as well. And honorarium will mean a lot to any person with disability out there who is going to be vulnerable enough to share their life journey. So yeah, and that's you see, that's you advocating for persons with disability, and that's beautiful. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the honorarium. Thank you.
It is absolutely our pleasure. Thank you so much, Tomi.